Good morning, everybody. Uh, Glad to be here for yet another Couchbase Connect keynote. As I was driving up today, it was such a beautiful day here in Santa Clara. The sky was blue, gray, orange, different shades of it. I've never seen the sky so beautiful. That's another way of saying that I've never been up this early, and I do it only for you, my dear developers, that I get up this early and show up here bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So let's begin uh, the journey that we are all on. It is the best of times. It is the worst of times. It is the age of wisdom. It is the age of foolishness, said Mr. Dickens. How appropriate. We developers have been living it for the last few years. It is the best of times from the standpoint of developing newer applications. There's never been a time where so much technology is available for us to sort of stitch it all together and enable a new reality, a new order for all of us to live. And we are in the middle of that renaissance of application development. But while we're doing this, we must also avoid some of the pitfalls that we have all learned in this journey that we have sort of all endured and come this far. So let's take a look at how we got here and how we are going to sort of make further progress from here on. So it is a tale of two realities. We have the physical and the digital realities. In the physical world, we're transacting constantly with the digital world. The applications that we are working with are interacting with the profiles of ours and the other devices and applications and appliances on the digital world, and they're interconnected. So it's a human to device interaction. Sometimes it's an app to app or device to device interaction, and sometimes it is a device back to app interaction. They are all happening discretely, yet many of the systems overall that we are sort of working with in these interactions are very siloed. They are still what we had built in the 90s and 2000s. In some cases, we are using mainframes which are from the 70s and 60s. So let me give you an example of this journey of stuff that we have really advanced in the past, without which we wouldn't be having this conversation. And we can begin because, like they say, those who condemn history are bound to repeat it. Those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. So let's look at the history that brought us here. This is not too long ago. It's in the turn of the century where this was the modern application of the time. This had basically moved from the old client-server architecture to the N-tier architecture. Now, this was an application that was front-end and browser-based, which was the modernization back then. This was the era of internet and browsers, and browser-based applications was the rage. And if you were to delve a little too deeply, a little bit more deeper into this thing, we'll figure out what is going on here. Now it looks somewhat dated to some of you. And so let's see what is the dating that is actually going on out here of the artifacts here. The client interface right there, first thing, it's all browser-based. And that already starting to look a little dated. Then there is transaction history here. And then there is location information. There is some personal demographic sort of information. There is analytics information. Very quickly, you all come to the conclusion that, what is happening here. The reality of the day was that this was all sitting in one database. This is what we used to at a certain level call like a monolithic application. Everything was sort of going and hitting one database. And sure enough, quickly we figured out that this is a limitation because different parts of the system needs to scale differently, and the characteristics of your response times and interaction paradigms were different for different parts of this application. So out came the first generation of this, which was called the SOA architecture, and then came the microservices architecture. Now, microservices architecture definitely solved that problem of independently scaling different parts of the application. by sort of containing them and having different persistence for each one of these tiers. In fact, we used to call this thing polyglot persistence, which seemed like true progress because, yes, the limitation was in the data tier. So let's sort of solve that problem by using custom purpose built solutions for the decomposition of our applications. Yes, we built those things, but just notice how many more of the data oriented systems we have introduced at the bottom. This is the data sprawl, database sprawl. This basically leads to you constantly moving data between one system to the other. This is the world of connectors and dongles. And at the end of the day, there is a lot of busy work and glue code. To use a sporting metaphor, what I typically say here is that this is basically people running from sideline to sideline instead of making forward progress. That's American football. For any, even the regular football, you can sort of come to that. But the point is basically that the busyness is in lateral movement and not the vertical movement that actually gets you to your real goal. So whoever coined the term polyglot persistent actually was not just referring to databases inadvertently, because it is polyglot. What does polyglot mean? Someone who can speak multiple languages. So in order for you to now put out an application, you literally had to speak multiple applications, which is multiple languages, which is, in this case, it's a stack. Now, each one of these data providers that are out there came up with their own stack to say, this is the way to develop. And here you are composing your application, which is consisting of 15, 20 microservices, and each is now running on a different stack. Now, it has gone beyond just the data sprawl. Now there is a sprawl which is happening at higher tiers. This is what complicates many other organizational problems, which is resources. You need more to maintain, manage this sort of code base. You need more people to solve these problems with different types of skill sets. We love to use this term, resources are not fungible. So yes, this stack developer is not applicable for that stack kind of conversation happens. And where does it leave you all at the end of the day is the sprawl leading to a crawl. When I say a crawl, it's not just about performance. It's about simple maintenance and debuggability of the system. If today you had an outage, figuring out what was the root cause of it, if you were to sit and do an RCA, it's pulling teeth because there's so many systems layered on top of systems, a distributed system on top of another distributed system, which is on top of some legacy system. And one is a queue, other is a cache, and third is a search engine, and all trying to act like a database. At the end of it, what you're left with is this situation where it is a kind word is a sprawl. The actual word that developers will use, it's a mess. So how do you get out of this mess is where we ought to be thinking, because we know this reality cannot sustain us in the future because there's going to be way more of these applications and devices. So we started to think about this problem from the perspective of where this problem originally originated, which is the data sprawl. How do you solve this problem? You have to start at the data tier. You have to contain the data sprawl by consolidating multiple tiers and in a manner that you can use different parts of the system with what we call optionality. So today you might start to develop something which is very simple and a key value, but you know you're going to come to a stage where you will have to probably use a search. That should not require you to go introduce a stack and a data tier, and now having to manage the complexity, the security, and all that stuff. The other thing this one really solves is that the data is written and sitting in one place. So you don't have to keep moving the data. And that at a different level gives you better consistency. in terms of the results that you're actually going to do. Because the moment you move the data between two systems, it basically leads to staleness of the data. Because in one system, the real system where the transactional stuff is actually happening, or meaningful stuff, that change takes a while for it to be propagated to other systems. Now, of course, it also helps with maintainability, but more importantly, by bringing this consolidation of tiers and having data in one place and have different types of logic, a KV logic, a search logic, a query logic, analytic logic, or your own custom logic using eventing, and you can stream this data. Where you arrive at basically is true agility. So far, all the CI/CD conversation comes to a grinding halt whenever there is a database change. Until then, you can do a lot of stuff. But the moment that happens, you're going back to your committees and people coming together to decide what changes to occur in the database before the application can be pushed out, etc. That all goes away. Add to this, if you want to extend the platform to the edge, now that introduces a different trajectory of different vector of innovation you have to put into this thing, mobile backend as a service, and that goes on and on. Because certain class of problems were not solved at the data tier and they were left to the application tier to solve them. So this, in one sense, is what you have, in one sense, to do to contain the sprawl. This is about containment, not elimination. You would still have specialized use cases where you might want to have your own special search system or a special analytic system where you want to separate and do other things over there. But that comes at a later point in the application's maturity. You don't have to start with that complexity day one, which is what leads you to that situation of development is a crawl. There is not much agility in it. Even though we talk of it, it takes a while to bring that innovation, that idea to market. This speeds all of that stuff up. Now, this is all well and good when you describe this at this level. What this really means, when you look at it truly from the standpoint of data management, what you're in one sense saying is that we need a database that is flexible schema, but yet give me the same SQL, because I know that, I trust that, and I can compose my queries on that, and I can do my predicate logic, push down to the data tier so my application is responsive. Give me a high performance, low latency at scale, cloud distributed database, but at the same time, give me a way to move this data to the edge. That's the other requirement that you basically are asking for, in one sense, to say that move small quantities of data to the edge while larger quantities can be moved across multiple clouds. So on the one hand, you're asking for global scaling, and yet you're asking for a small footprint database at the edge. Give me a system that can do the classic database transactions and at the same time can handle this performance, distributed performance at scale with guaranteed low latencies. These are all sort of contradictory, if you will, at a certain level. Requirements based on how databases have evolved. And that's the reason you went to pick up different systems, because they solve a sliver of these in a unique manner. This also prevented you from actually doing multiple stuff, because you had to decide a priori what sort of a system you have to put in place to write that logic. So it stops you from sort of introducing new logic to that same data, because you have to now move the data, take the data, reformat that data to a manner in which the other system actually understands it, move it to that other system before you can write that logic. This is the problem. Where we have really come to is a situation that every data source demands that you actually first define a schema. Make the data look in a manner that I understand before you can write a single line of code. This is what causes all the problems downstream. Versus the way you ought to be thinking about this is that take the data in its most natural flowing form, which is JSON. That is the lingua franca of the web. And now to that, can we bring more logic to that? That is the database system that you're actually asking for. And So far, you did not have that choice. And that is what led to the sprawl. Now you can consolidate that in one system because that's exactly what we are offering with Couchbase Server 7.0. It can do transactions and interleave that with any of your high performance, high scale operations, a search or a KV or eventing. Now you can move the data to the edge or across the data center. So far, we have been only CDNing static content. With a database like this, you can CDN the data also. Imagine how creative your applications can look if your data can react and change at the moment of contact with the end user based on their interactions. This is where the liberation or the next generation of applications are, in one sense, demanding. So now that we have had a view of what tomorrow is going to look like, so the natural question, this is the database we built for it, the natural question you're going to ask is, okay, show us what is the next generation of applications going to look like. As you know, sometimes future is not even. Future is already here. So what you're noticing here, if you had looked at that, the browser-based application that I showed you before, is that there is a shift in paradigm here, which is that you no longer have to learn to engage with the application. You are not going to the application. The application is coming to you. As a team, if you notice, that is what is happening in terms of what is the future generation of application going to look like. And that future is something I don't have to predict. Some of our visionary customers are already creating that future instead of somebody else predicting it for them. These applications you are seeing here were all built on Couchbase. Staples built their mobile applications so you can easily order your office goods and services. Carnival Cruises has a fantastic medallion application which allows you to sit in your stateroom and order your drink and walk over to the pool, and the drink will follow you over there magically. AT&T has the cloud DVR thing where you can be watching programming of your choice in your living room, pause it, and go pick it up from your mobile device or tablet, wherever you are, untethered. Sync thing does the concussion detection, whereby the care comes to you when you actually sustain that, as opposed to you having to schedule that few days down the line, and by that time, none of the symptoms may be there for someone to detect what happened, really. And Northwestern University is building this wellness application which can detect stuff like fall and some of the other emergency situations and allow you with a single click either to get help or just let them know, you had put this watch on your dog which was jumping around. So this is the class of applications that we are actually sort of seeing and developing. And what is going to happen next, if you will, this trend is just going to continue to accelerate. More and more applications will talk to each other, and they will do that unassisted with humans. They'll be talking to each other and talking to humans. And in that, the complexity of these applications talking to each other is going to proliferate. And that's all going to happen because it's sort of JSON, that is the common language in one sense. And we'll be able to hook up these applications, and these applications that will drive real world outcomes, even though they're talking to each other in the digital medium, so to say. For this to happen, there has to be a common language that the applications talk, which the web has established already. We don't have to invent that one. That is JSON. We just need to understand at this point where we are standing is that the applications are talking to each other at a higher tier, if you will. They're talking to each other at the level of APIs, which is like two people talking with a translator in the middle, as opposed to composing the data or working at the data tier at the core, where you share a common language, and then the conversation sort of naturally happens and flows. As you know, a lot gets lost in translation, which is exactly what is happening now. And that's why the sideline to sideline movement, in order for you to catch up for that. But if the data that is commonly sort of available and talked to and that can be sort of glued together and composed, where this can lead to is the next generation of applications that are going to come. Where it's going to sort of lead to eventually is it'll be an inversion in the tale of two realities. The digital shadow of everything that we have, that's what we're creating now. The digital shadow will initiate physical outcomes. It's not about just interaction anymore. The paradigm shift will be the digital shadows initiating stuff as opposed to currently humans initiating most of those interactions. With more and more data being generated by machines and machines talking to machines, when we talk at that level, it sounds very simple and arrows are connecting each other and stuff like that. But we know the reality underneath the surface of applications coming together. There are a lot more connectors and dongles and all that stuff because data is sitting in silos. How do we get past that? That is possible only when applications take these disparate JSONs that are coming from multiple sources and compose them, query on them, search them, analyze them, and stream them. When you have that uniform, coherent way of assembling data, suddenly hooking up these many applications together, all these backends becomes very easy and natural. This is what these microservice based architectures are trying to achieve. Yet, if you take it down to the lower level and make this JSON composition naturally happen between different types of logic flowing on the same data, we will get to a point where this application connectivity and application to human connectivity will leapfrog us into the next generation of applications. It is an epoch of belief. It is the epoch of incredulity. It is the spring of hope, to dip into Mr. Dickens freely. It is the best of times for us to go create this future. With Couchbase 7.0 and Capella, you can build your apps without distractions. Thank you. And now, to bring you all on to the next session, I'm going to welcome Priya Rajagopal to give us more vision and direction in how modern applications are going to evolve at the edge.
Hello, everybody. Today, I'll be giving an update on our mobile and edge computing products that enable fast and reliable applications at the edge. This past year has seen a massive growth in mobile applications and use cases. Intrinsic mobile device technologies like GPS, Bluetooth, NFC, digital wallets are critical enablers of such use cases. The way we dine in, pick up, or deliver food orders has changed. Telemedicine has increasingly replaced non-emergency doctor's visits. Mobile vaccination clinics have popped up in rural and urban areas. The way we shop online or in-store has changed. Applications now are overwhelmingly mobile first, and it's all about efficiency, reliability, and customer experience. Now, to keep up with this massive growth in mobile data usage, there have been some key technology transformations that have been happening in parallel. Communication service providers are rapidly rolling out 5G infrastructure that provide ultra-low latency and high bandwidth pipes to transfer data to and from devices. In parallel, hyperscaler cloud providers like Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure have started extending their cloud infrastructure to the edge. Now we have data centers that are at the edge of the cloud, on-prem, or private data centers. In fact, hyperscaler cloud providers are teaming up with CSPs to roll out data centers at the edge of the mobile operator network. This distributed cloud architecture is the cornerstone of edge computing, which is all about distributing compute and storage to the edge. The edge being the location where data is generated and consumed. The Couchbase Data Platform is at the forefront of enabling mobile and edge computing solutions by offering an integrated data storage and sync solution that allows you to store, process, and move data from the cloud to the edge. A quick overview of the Couchbase stack. You've got Couchbase Server, our flagship, fully distributed NoSQL database with an integrated cache, and it includes services such as query, indexing, full-text search, eventing, and analytics. Then you've got Couchbase Lite. That's our full-featured embedded database for mobile, desktop, and embedded platforms. Then we have Sync Gateway, which is the secure data synchronization component that sits between Couchbase Lite and Couchbase Server and is responsible for secure data sync. In addition to data sync, the Sync Gateway also enforces access control policies and is responsible for end-user authentication and authorization. We count a number of customers, major global brands who rely on Couchbase for their mobile and edge computing solutions. This week at Connect, you'll be hearing from a few of our customers. The mobile platform is mature. We've been delivering innovation since 2014 with the industry-leading NoSQL offline-first database. Subsequently, with every release, we continue to expand on our platform capabilities with notable enterprise-grade features that includes database encryption support on Couchbase Lite. We have enhanced conflict resolution support that includes both automatic conflict resolvers as well as support for custom conflict resolution. And with every release, the Sync Gateway has continued to evolve to meet the scaling demands of our large enterprise-grade deployments. In our most recent release in 2.8, we had introduced peer-to-peer data sync support on Couchbase Lite. With peer-to-peer data sync, you can securely sync data directly between Couchbase Lite-enabled clients without the need for a remote control point. We also introduced InterSync Gateway replication technology that allows secure cloud-to-edge data sync at scale. And our innovations continue with our latest upcoming release. Today, I'm happy to announce the 3.0 beta release of our Sync Gateway and Couchbase Lite products. With this release, we continue to broaden our platform support on Couchbase Lite for edge devices. And on the Sync Gateway, we have made core architectural enhancements that will make it easier to manage and securely administer the Sync Gateway in the cloud or at the edge. The Couchbase Lite database is currently supported on all major mobile platforms. It's also supported on desktop applications that run Java and .NET. In 3.0, we are introducing native Kotlin support for Android. With the new library, you can build Kotlin applications that are idiomatic to the platform without relying on Java to Kotlin bridging. We are also introducing native C API support on Couchbase Lite for mobile, desktop, and embedded platforms. Now let's dive a little deeper into the C API. We are incredibly excited about the new C API as it opens up a world of possibilities for our developers. According to the Eclipse Foundation, C has been consistently ranked as the #1 programming language for constrained devices. So what this means is that you can now deploy applications with Couchbase Lite on embedded devices that are far more resource constrained than typical mobile devices. You can run it on Raspberry Pis. You can run it on custom hardware running embedded Linux. Think smart medical equipment in hospitals, smart dash cams in security vehicles. In fact, you can use the Couchbase Lite C platform and any mobile, desktop, or embedded platform, making it truly cross-platform. Finally, the C is the lingua franca of programming languages. So this means you can easily build bindings for other programming languages on top of our C API. So for instance, you can build Flutter applications by building dot bindings on top of our C API using the Foreign Function Interface or FFI. Also new in C, we are introducing support for client-side field-level encryption. So Couchbase Lite C-based applications can encrypt fields in documents prior to transmitting it over the wire to Couchbase server. So only clients with the right set of encryption keys can decrypt and read the data. This ensures data privacy and also guarantees that sensitive data is never read by any client that doesn't have the right set of keys. This feature is also compatible with the field-level encryption support in Couchbase Server SDKs. So this means you can now encrypt documents on server clients and decrypt it on Couchbase Lite C applications that have the right set of keys. We can't wait to see what you'll build with the new Couchbase Lite C platform. In our 2.0 release, back in 2018, we had introduced the Query Builder API on Couchbase Lite. The Query Builder is a fluent interface that allows developers to write queries using SQL syntax. The API enforced compile time checks, which was great for developers because it allowed them to build robust applications. Now, with 3.0, we are enhancing the Query API support by introducing SQL++ support in Couchbase Lite. SQL++ is the SQL for JSON query language specification. It is the query language which is used on Couchbase Server. So now you can use the same queries across server and Couchbase Lite applications. Let's look at a very basic example that compares a Query Builder API with SQL++ formatted queries. In this Query Builder example, you're fetching all the documents in the database where the type property is account, owner is John, and the results are sorted in ascending order by account size. And here is the equivalent query in SQL++ syntax. As you can see, the SQL++ syntax is much more concise. Now that said, the Query Builder API continues to be a first-class citizen on Couchbase Lite, and it is fully supported in 3.0. Both these options can coexist within an application. So as app developers, you have a choice of using either or both within your application, depending on your preference. Switching gears to the Sync Gateway. I'll begin by providing a quick overview of the typical workflow for Sync Gateway setup and configuration. You begin by bootstrapping the Sync Gateway and connecting it to a Couchbase Server bucket. Next, you configure the Sync Gateway database endpoints. This is where you give a database name, backing bucket, authentication credentials, etc. Then you define the access control policies. Who has access to what subset of data? And then finally, user management. This includes defining the end user authentication mechanisms, whether it's basic auth, OpenID Connect, custom authentication. Starting 3.0, the bootstrap configuration will be handled via a very simple JSON formatted config file that you provide on startup. The rest of the configuration is handled via a secure REST interface. I'll illustrate this with a very simple example. Consider a two-node Sync Gateway cluster. The nodes are configured with a basic bootstrap configuration file that allows the Sync Gateway to connect to a Couchbase server. The rest of the configuration is now handled via the REST endpoint. So for that, you hit the database endpoint on one node in the cluster, providing it with a database configuration. That config is applied to the node, persisted in the server bucket, and it's propagated to the second node in the cluster. Of course, this is a very simple example. In a real-world deployment or in larger clusters, you can scope the set of Sync Gateway nodes that a database configuration would apply to. The new configuration model in Sync Gateway 3.0 vastly simplifies manageability and administration of Sync Gateway clusters. Because first, it's modular. We moved away from the monolithic JSON config file-based approach. You can now configure and manage the various aspects of the configuration workflow independent of each other. Second, it's cluster aware. So you specify the database configuration on one node, and that configuration is automatically propagated to the relevant subset of Sync Gateway nodes. Then you have persistence. All the config changes that are made via the REST endpoint are persisted in the server bucket, and they survive restarts. And finally, because the configuration is REST-based, this implies that you can remotely configure the sync gateway. And why is remote configuration relevant? Well, Couchbase Server and Sync Gateway can be deployed in any cloud or edge data centers. So this means that with the new REST-based configuration model, administrators have the ability to remotely administer the Sync Gateway located or distributed in cloud or edge data centers. You can get started with 3.0 beta today. You can download the binaries from our download site at couchbase.com/downloads. Couchbase Lite is, of course, available on all the standard platform-specific package management systems. Now, if I piqued your interest, then be sure to check out these upcoming 3.0 focus sessions at Connect today. We have a session on the new SQL++ query support in Couchbase Lite. We have a session that is dedicated to the new SEEP API platform. We have a session that dives deeper into the new configuration and administration option in Sync Gateway. And finally, a session that showcases the new Kotlin library. But that's not it. We have several other mobile and edge computing focused sessions from Couchbase experts, as well as from our partners and customers. You can see a full listing by going to the ConnectONLINE attendee hub, filtering on the mobile tag. And with that, thank you, and have a great ConnectONLINE 2021. Now over to Dave McCarthy from IDC.
Thanks, Priya. It's great to be here today with everyone. And I really do agree with you in this concept of where edge computing plays in the broader scheme of how infrastructure is being put together, because it really is a shift from the sort of centralized approaches that we've seen really take root over the last decade, whether it was data center consolidation or move to public cloud, to now to more of this distributed approach. And so for this presentation that I'm going to share over the next 15 minutes, I want to expand a little bit more on the IDC perspective. IDC has looked at this market for the last 3 years and really started putting together, not just future-looking information, but real data around, what people are doing in this space. And so we'll focus a little bit on, where is edge computing today and where do people think about it in terms of their overall strategies for their business. And then we're going to talk specifically around these ultra-low latency applications, and specifically around some performance data that Couchbase provided that I truly found interesting and unique in the industry. So, to start off with, the D in IDC stands for data. And I thought it was important to show that when we look at edge computing and when we survey companies, this isn't an aspirational type of technology. This is something that people are looking at, not just in terms of the things that they're deploying today, but also looking at it from a very strategic perspective. And in fact, when we've asked companies, where does edge computing fit in your overall sort of computing and infrastructure strategy, 73% said it was a strategic investment going forward. And that 17 additional percent said it was required by business operations. So many of those examples that we've heard about today where you want to be able to distribute some of the logic, some of the data, some of the applications that go along with the things that you're building out into the field, into these locations, I think is incredibly important. And when we looked at even the way that people were deploying this today, 2/3 of the people we talked to are already in production in some sort of adopting edge services, whether that's in a single location and kind of a trial or proof of concept, sort of moving beyond that to real sort of applications, to actually multiple locations. And when we look forward into this, it's an area that we see people continuing to invest in. 40% of organizations that we surveyed said that they plan to invest in new edge solutions in less than the next year, right? And so when we ask about motivations, there are several that apply to different companies in different situations. And certainly latency is one of them. It came in when we looked at sort of overall as like an 18.6% concern. And that's something we're going to focus on today. But it's important to also point out it's not the only one. This idea that data has gravity and that moving data around and the costs involved in that, can be prohibitive in certain situations. And then there's the security and data protection aspects of running distributed, applications that are top of mind. And whether that's for sort of corporate governance or compliance with data sovereignty regulations or other sort of industry requirements that are possible. And then one that I'm seeing emerge more and more is this idea of continuous operations. The true fact is every major cloud provider over the last year has seen some sort of an outage. And so, and there's always that potential that the network somewhere between where you are and the cloud is can be interrupted. And so continuous operations is another one that's popping up. And all of these kind of indicate, what's sort of top of mind for organizations and how they're going about deploying these types of solutions. And when we look at the spectrum of where this goes, I mean, you can sort of view this picture from left to right, whereas on the left-hand side, we're talking about more of the centralized, core infrastructure that's deployed within organizations, whether that's, in the public cloud or private cloud on-premises infrastructure. It's the epicenter of where a lot of things are, and they start moving outward to the right. And you can look at these in sorts of two different categories. I mean, there are service provider facilities, whether that's the interaction with telcos that Priya had mentioned, usually under this acronym of MEC or multi-access edge compute, or the fact that cloud providers are now creating more metro zones. So it's no longer just deploy to the East Coast or West Coast regions, but getting a lot more granular and where that's deployed, all the way on to on-premises, customer facilities, whether it's, something within the data center itself or even something embedded on device. This creates an entire spectrum. And, one thing I'll clue you into is that prior to working with Couchbase on some of their performance numbers, I actually had the MEC number and the metro regional number flipped around, because in my mind, the latency from left to right had to do with, how close in proximity these are to maybe the endpoints that you're working with. But in reality, we found some differences in the numbers, and that's something I'm going to share shortly. When we also asked about where people are putting these resources, you can see that it isn't a either or. It's not just, we talk about it a lot in terms of this idea of like cloud and edge, as if everything is either in one place or the other, or that the edge is a singular thing. But as I mentioned in the last slide, the edge is a continuum. And when you look at the sort of the distribution, you are seeing an uptick of cloud and co-location data centers, these sort of regional deployment points, as being a place that people are looking to solve some of those challenges that I mentioned earlier around centralized computing models. And you're also seeing more uptake of infrastructure, especially cloud platforms, being embedded within telco infrastructure itself. But the key point here is that there isn't one prevailing model today that, as industries and enterprises look at the types of applications that they're building and the goals that they have for those applications, it's more about picking the right tool for the job than just picking the one sort of deployment method to rule them all. And as part of this, I think you can see how cloud providers are really starting to address this by a wide range of solutions that are available now. And not to sort of blind you with an eye chart of solutions, but if you take those kind of categories and you map them out, you see cloud providers putting their bets in multiple locations. And they're doing that for the reasons that I mentioned. They're doing it because of the fact that each one of these has different performance characteristics. Each one of these has different operating aspects. And so, again, whether we're talking about things that are more on the right-hand side of this, which is on-premises infrastructure, or things that are more on the left-hand side, all of these sort of solutions from cloud providers are providing ways of overcoming some of those challenges that you see with some of those centralized computing models, and giving people more choice and how they build those applications and how they deploy them. Now, obviously, we don't have time today to go through all of these and their ins and outs, but I thought it might be useful to take one example of this, and this would be AWS. So AWS I find is really interesting in their change of attitude, where years ago I think they probably assumed that everything would run well in the public cloud. And if you've watched what they've done over the last 2 years, they've really expanded into multiple areas where they're allowing that cloud platform to be deployed in locations where it never could before. And in a lot of ways, this is a best of both worlds approach, because you're able to build on the cloud platforms and use the technologies like Couchbase that you're familiar with, but have more freedom in where you put these. And so the two that I thought was interesting to really look at, because they're newer than the other sort of methods, are these MEC solutions, which in this case is AWS Wavelength, and these regional metro solutions, which are the AWS local zones. So these are all sort of relatively new deployment methods. Most of the AWS Wavelength infrastructure today, at least in the US, is provided through Verizon. So you'll see a lot of sort of synergy between the Verizon 5G network and the AWS platform that lives in there. And that's purposeful, of course, because those two companies are working together to deliver that solution. When you look at the sort of the metro regional area around AWS local zones, their first one was in Los Angeles, but if you've been watching, they've been slowly rolling this out to more cities around the United States. And I believe they'll continue to do this more globally to create kind of that regional view. And so what this led to was a very interesting conversation that I had with Couchbase. Now, you can imagine, as an industry analyst, I talked to thousands of companies around how they build their applications and how they deploy. And while you get a lot of slideware around different things, sometimes it's hard to get to the real details of, so how does this really work? Couchbase was able to share with IDC and my team some interesting results around how do you make decisions around which of these solutions to build. And from an architectural perspective, like what would you do depending on your particular situation to put together the right mix of product capability and cloud deployment models to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve for your application, whether it's the performance side of things, whether it's the uptime, or whether it's the reliability. And so last month, we published the results of this study at IDC. It was a market perspective called Performance Accountability and Edge Decision-Making with Couchbase. And I believe Couchbase is making this available either as part of this event or on their website. But if you have a chance to look into this further, it's really an interesting concept. And what I wanted to highlight was, kind of the testing that they did. So, there's a lot on this slide, and I'll kind of walk you through it. If you look at the top two diagrams, these were the architectures that Couchbase used to do some real life performance of Couchbase on different sort of AWS edge deployment models. So the left side was using AWS wavelength. That was the 5G based method. And so if you look at sort of that diagram, what they did was use a 5G device and tested an application, and and ultimately really from a performance perspective. So these are like gets and sets against the database, and compared them against one of those typical regions, in this case US West, against a AWS wavelength zone to see what would really happen, right? And so if you look at the performances results that are highlighted below, when you went to the main AWS zones, right? So that's that big region. Response time in milliseconds was around 150, depending on what you were doing. And that seems about what we would normally expect to get from one of those types of deployment regions. Now, while that works for a lot of applications, certainly when you get to sort of real-time low latency, that's not enough. So when you went and looked at like how would that improve if you were to take that same exact sort of application and deploy it in one of these AWS wavelength zones, it was a huge performance increase. We went from 150 milliseconds to 53 for GET requests and 29 milliseconds for SET requests. So that is a remarkable improvement, and something that I think is very interesting as their customers look to see how to architect and build out certain use cases. Now, if we move to the right side of the picture, this is the local zone architecture. So in most cases, trying to compare as closely as we could kind of these two different examples. And you'll see different but similar patterns. The local zone, or the AWS zone, and I should point out one of the other major differences is that when using wavelength in the first example, this was using the 5G network, whereas using the local zone example, we're using a wired kind of ISP. So you're already getting a little bit of an advantage there using that connection versus a wireless connection. But again, you see almost the same order of magnitude improvement, moving from 89 and 31 milliseconds when using one of the US West region deployments to 19 and 7 milliseconds respectively when using the local zone. So what does this all mean, right? I think in one regard, it shows that you can deploy on cloud platforms and get the performance you want if you take advantage of some of these new deployment models. And what's interesting to me is that, and this gets back to me saying that, hey, I actually changed my opinion by looking at this. I bought into the fact that these 5G and MEC solutions had to be the fastest way, but the data shows differently. And maybe that makes sense, actually. It makes sense because 5G, despite all of its potential, and I do believe in its potential, is still a maturing technology. And those wired connections for certain applications just will always run a little bit faster. And so, in some cases, the question isn't whether or not, is it, do you go for always the fastest connection? I think there's also an element here of, at what point do you look at the types of connectivity access methods your devices are using. Certainly, if you're using a predominantly wireless endpoints, then wavelength is probably a way of getting to faster results, certainly better than the region. But if you're working off of a different type of access method, local zone. So anyway, this was, to me, very fascinating results that we documented in that report, and something that I was very excited to see Couchbase do, because they really put out a benchmark now to show how these different services operate. So I kind of wanted to end, this part of our conversation by just, providing, what IDC would call, essential guidance, things that, you should keep top of mind, when considering these solutions. And the first one is to really think of Edge as a complement to cloud. It's easy. I get asked all the time, oh, is Edge taking over and cloud going away? And the answer is, of course not. Cloud will continue to grow. Capabilities there are important for the reasons that people have adopted them over the last number of years. But I think edge computing sort of adds that missing element to really bring those cloud platforms out into the field and achieve performance. And so, distributing these applications can ultimately create a best of both worlds approach, and unlock new benefits and new use cases. Something that I think is incredibly important to keep in mind. The second is to embrace the idea that no one edge solution will meet all needs. And it goes back to the reason why I wanted to highlight the spectrum of things. Depending on your particular situation and the application that you're building, some of it might be correct to put into something like AWS wavelength, embedded within the telco network. Some of that might be something that's on-premises infrastructure. And something that I know Couchbase would highlight is it might be embedded into the device you're using yourself, right? It's this multi-tiered architecture, I think, that as these solutions mature will ultimately prevail. And then finally, understand that, there is a mix of metrics that I think you need to pay attention to, both from an observability perspective, but also from a decision-making perspective, things around performance and latency and cost, because depending on the right mix of those requirements that are important for you and the things that you're doing are going to drive some of your decisions that are being made when you start looking at the types of applications that you're building and the way that you're doing it. So I really appreciate being included in today's event. I'm very excited about the work that Couchbase is doing in Edge, and also, of course, highlighting the different ways that the cloud providers are working with Couchbase to sort of unlock these new deployment methods and achieving a lot of those sort of next generation and innovative use cases that we'll be talking about throughout the rest of the event. So again, I appreciate being here, and thank you for allowing me to share this information with you.
Okay. Thank you, Dave, for a great presentation on Edge, and appreciate the insight. And thank you, Priya, for the exciting announcement today. Gotta love the excitement of a live broadcast, folks. So next, for our final keynote of the morning, we're going to turn it over to MattMcDonough for the for the partner awards, and Jeff Morris for the customer awards. So Matt, over to you.
Hi, everyone. This is MattMcDonough. I wanted to welcome all the Couchbase partners around the world to Couchbase Connect Online. I hope everyone gets everything they need out of 2 days of incredible content and training from our own subject matter experts, as well as other partners, customers, and community users. We've made a major impact with our partners over the past few years. For instance, our business in the first half of this year was bigger than our entire partner business 2 years ago. We continue to see a massive impact from our partners of all types: global systems integrators, regional systems integrators and consultancies, tech ecosystem and public cloud providers, as well as independent software vendors, all of whom continue to make the bet on Couchbase as the platform of choice for modern data infrastructure. Of our hundreds of partners today, I want to recognize 4 with our annual Couchbase Partner Awards. The first partner category consists of global and regional system integrators and consultancies who have demonstrated excellence in architecting and delivering both horizontal and industry vertical solutions, leveraging Couchbase's unique differentiators, and complementing these capabilities with a scalable go-to-market and successful customer outcomes. In 2021, we've had several solutions developed and delivered by our SI partners. Some notable award candidates include a managed service by Accenture for travel and hospitality clients operating under the challenging circumstances brought on by COVID-19, and another solution from Accenture targeting digital manufacturing and industrial use cases, leveraging Couchbase's unique mobile and sync gateway capabilities. Another standout example is Facet Digital, a full-service agency and specialist consultancy firm that delivered a new digital healthcare application built on Couchbase Capella that delivered significant improvements in app performance and ROI for its end customer. However, for 2021, I'm delighted to announce Infosys as Couchbase Systems Integrator of the Year. In the past year, Infosys has developed new vertical and horizontal offerings and made significant investments in enhancing their delivery capability. Some highlights include the Infosys Data Migration Tool supports and simplifies the migration to Couchbase from legacy relational database environments. A new store modernization offering that leverages Couchbase's unique edge computing capabilities to modernize store operations, including at point of sale. Couchbase was included in Infosys's updated Epoch, which is their digital supply chain and omni-channel offering, providing critical order and inventory visibility, especially useful in these challenging times of supply chain pressures and disruptions. And finally, a significant number of Infosys people have earned their Couchbase developer, architect, and professional certifications and are ready to collaborate with our mutual customers to drive successful cloud and digital transformation outcomes underpinned by Couchbase. And to receive the award, I'll turn it over to Naresh Dudu, AVP of Cloud and Open Source Practice at Infosys.
Thank you, Matt, for once again recognizing our strategic partnership and awarding Infosys as Couchbase 2021 SI Partner of the Year. Hello, everyone. I'm Naresh Dudu, AVP and Head of the Cloud and Open Source Practice at Infosys. The last 18 months has seen Infosys quickly adapt to rapidly changing circumstances and support our clients, employees, and partners in an even more strategic way. We have found that our clients across industry verticals have accelerated their digital transformation to meet the fast evolving consumption pattern by users. We have seen this happen across all our industry lines, including financial services, retail, consumer logistics, and manufacturing. In the past year, Infosys strengthened its Cobalt Cloud offerings, where Couchbase played a critical enabling role in several of our solutions. At this year's Connect, we are pleased to showcase several new solutions that leverage Couchbase. Our Infosys Modernization Suite now supports RDBMS migration to Couchbase. It complements some of our existing cloud-native and mainframe offload capabilities by supporting and accelerating the data modeling and data migration challenges of moving from RDBMS to Couchbase. Our new Infosys Store Modernization solution makes use of Couchbase's mature and highly differentiated mobile capabilities to build highly available applications at the edge to support B2B and B2C store operations. Our digital supply chain team has also selected Couchbase to power new inventory and order visibility solutions that are pain points in strained supply chains across the globe. We look forward to accelerating our clients' modernization journey in partnership with Couchbase through multiple solutions on Couchbase, as well as our large pool of Couchbase experts. Thanks again, Matt and entire Couchbase team for this award. Thank you.
Our second category is Cloud Partner of the Year. Couchbase's cloud partnerships play an essential role in providing our customers with a highly scalable and reliable infrastructure on which to run their cloud-native applications that are powered by Couchbase, and also help Couchbase to offer a simplified manner in which to deploy and consume Couchbase as a service. Last year, we introduced Couchbase Cloud to the market, our first Couchbase managed offering for our customers. AWS was a launch partner for our MVPC deployment of Couchbase Cloud. AWS worked closely with us to launch this new offering to deliver value on behalf of our mutual customers. We later introduced InVNet deployment of Couchbase Cloud with Microsoft Azure. For 2021, I'm delighted to award AWS as Couchbase Cloud Partner of the Year. As you've seen in our announcements at this year's ConnectONLINE, Couchbase Cloud is now rebranded Couchbase Capella, and we introduced an additional offering with Couchbase Hosted DBaaS that will run inside Couchbase's AWS instances or subscription. This offer will make it easier for developers to get started building new cloud-native applications on Couchbase with Capella in a matter of minutes. We partnered closely with AWS and their partner and SaaS factory teams to take this new offering to market. There have been several other highlights with our AWS partnership, including implementing a global co-sell motion with AWS to accelerate, expand, and uncover new opportunities to support our customers. Accelerating deals by enabling our customers to purchase all Couchbase products and even professional services via the AWS Marketplace or via AWS Marketplace private offers. Enthusiastic collaboration on joint promotional incentives for our customers. And aligned go-to-market targeting the game tech vertical. Couchbase's inclusion in the AWS ISV workload migration program to accelerate customers' digital transformations. And then unparalleled partner support with developing and co-marketing activities and complementary AWS services, notably AWS Outposts, Local Zones, and Wavelength. And to receive this award, I'll turn it over to Sabina Joseph of AWS.
Thanks, Matt. As the General Manager for America's Technology Partners at AWS, I am thrilled that Couchbase has recognized and awarded AWS as their Cloud Partner of the Year. We are very proud of our partnership and the work we are doing to better serve our mutual customers. You are an important partner for AWS and aligns with our strategy of providing our customers with options to meet their requirements and use cases. Couchbase is successfully leveraging several of our AWS partner programs that are relevant to your business. And over the last year, our teams have increased our levels of partnership across technical innovation, co-selling, and co-marketing. Couchbase has leveraged best practices and insights from AWS SaaS experts as you launch Couchbase Capella's newly hosted database as a service offering. Our teams have worked hard to improve global field collaboration to better serve our mutual customers by putting together in place a go-to-market framework to increase our global co-selling, and we've also identified targeted areas for joint marketing. I look forward to our teams building on all the work that we put in together and developing a long and successful partnership with Couchbase.
Our third category is the Technology Ecosystem Partner of the Year. Couchbase's technology ecosystem partners enable key integrations and platforms that leverage Couchbase's key differentiators, which helps our customers deploy with confidence and extend the value of Couchbase in their environments to new use cases and line of businesses, departments as a trusted vendor. As many of you have seen during Connect, Modernize Now is a key theme and opportunity for both customers and partners. This year, we've had several ecosystem partners develop new integrations and introduce new offerings that help support legacy relational database migrations to Couchbase. Irwin's new data modeling and data intelligence suite, as an example, with smart connectors, now support Couchbase 7 with our new scopes and collections capabilities, as well as CData's connectors and new sync tool for data migrations. Both of these partners have notable new capabilities that we'll be bringing to market together this year and are worthy of mention. However, for 2021, I'm delighted to award Red Hat as Couchbase's Technology Ecosystem Partner of the Year. Couchbase is a certified and strategic ISV workload for Red Hat's OpenShift platform and is a key enabler for enterprises looking to run mission-critical applications in a mixed or hybrid cloud environment, and supports both legacy modernization and cloud-native development projects. Red Hat and IBM continue to be great go-to-market partners too, with some highlights including Couchbase and Red Hat partnering on customer workshops and high-touch POCs, leading to significant account expansion and penetration. Couchbase's demos and use case videos for Customer 360 and catalog and inventory use cases are built into Red Hat's own demo systems and OpenShift content channels. And we've seen expanded customer value provided by the incentives and adoption of Red Hat Marketplace for our North America customers. And to receive this award, I'll turn it over to Chris Gray of Red Hat.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me and for recognizing Red Hat as the Couchbase 2021 Technology Ecosystem Partner of the Year. Hi, everybody. As Matt stated, my name's Chris Gray, and I'm the Vice President of North American Ecosystem here at Red Hat. I am incredibly honored to be accepting this award for Red Hat, not only because Couchbase continues to be such a strategic partner for us, but also, and most importantly, because of the value that we've been able to deliver together to our customers. Over the past several years, we've worked really hard to align our technologies and to really enable our joint vision of making data-intensive workloads available in hybrid and multi-cloud environments, allowing portability and seamless operation from any cloud or data center all the way out to the edge and back. But in this past year, we've really seen a tremendous maturation of our go-to-market motion together and have seen truly incredible results. And those results do not occur unless you are really driving joint value to our customers. So what are our customers saying, right, that really creates that value? And in short, we've heard that Couchbase and Red Hat together can really bring to life a best-of-breed capability to run stateful applications across a hybrid cloud environment. Now, that sounds great, but let's talk about a real-life example. Right? So just this past year, we worked together with Couchbase on a proof of concept at a large financial institution. This institution had been operating OpenShift for years, but only across a very small portion of their applications. Right? Together, we were able to show that customer that their container infrastructure and the investments that they had made there could be expanded to include all applications, not just the stateless ones. This dramatically increased the business value that the customer was able to gain from their container adoption journey, but also increased our joint opportunity at that customer by tenfold, right? Just a truly incredible win for Couchbase, Red Hat, and for the customer. We've also seen a ton of uptake through Red Hat Marketplace. Right, Couchbase and Red Hat have been able to make our solutions easier to consume and provide this easy mechanism to allow our customers to discover, evaluate, and purchase our solution together. And just as one example of that, we've had just almost an 8-figure deal with a large hospitality vendor through Red Hat Marketplace. This is the largest transaction in Red Hat Marketplace history, and it's all based upon the value proposition that Red Hat and Couchbase bring together to our customer. This is just the beginning of a tremendous relationship, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do together. Right? This is a true triple win for Couchbase, Red Hat, and our customers, and I'm so excited to see what we can continue to do together to drive this value into the marketplace. Thanks again, Matt, and to the entire Couchbase team for this tremendous partnership, for this award, and really looking forward to many more. Thank you.
Our final category of the year is the Independent Software Vendor of the Year. ISVs are a key contributor to the continued growth of Couchbase. They integrate, embed, and package our offerings with their applications and products to create compelling offerings into specific verticals or cross-industry solutions. They trust us to provide the reliability, flexibility, scale, and modern features critical to help them address the rapidly changing and demanding needs of their customers. We continue to see our ISV partners deliver new customer logos for Couchbase, creating innovative solutions across a wide range of verticals, from finance to retail to telco to healthcare. One notable example worth mentioning is a cross-vertical solution where we have partnered with Enablon, a subsidiary of Wolters Kluwer, who rapidly modernized their mobile health and safety application to address their client security and encryption needs. However, for 2021, I am delighted to award Digital Route as ISV Partner of the Year. Digital Route has been a Couchbase partner for 7 years with our solution embedded within their mediation zone application. The award recognizes a proven joint application proposition that's deployed in multiple telcos globally and continued growth in 2021 in both expansions and new wins, and Digital Route's transformation to offer cloud-based services with CSPs. Let me turn it over to Demed Lear to accept the award on behalf of Digital Route.
Thank you, Matt and Couchbase, for this award as ISV Partner of the Year. It is a great honor. I'm joining you from Stockholm, Sweden today. Digital Route is the new standard for usage-based monetization. We're helping the world move from ownership to usership. And we are catering to customers in all industries. With Couchbase, we've been focusing on one area, which is the telecommunication industries, where we have very, very large data volumes to deal with, and ultra-low latency requirements as well. And so it's been great to be able to rely on Couchbase technologies over the years. We share a lot of common traits. We all strive for technical excellence, customer focus, and so our companies align very well. We've had a great relationship and great support from our local partner team as well in Europe. So thanks again, Couchbase, for the support over the years. Thanks for this award, and hope everybody will be enjoying the rest of this event. Thank you.
Thank you once again, partners, for joining us at ConnectONLINE 2021. Hi, I'm Jeff Morris. I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing here at Couchbase, and I'm delighted to be presenting the Couchbase Innovation Awards for 2021. Now, what you're going to find in this category and these winners here is some common themes. Many of these organizations are building device-enabled applications and capabilities. Many are operating in the cloud. And in fact, we have a cloud computing award for both North America and EMEA, as well as building out really advanced NoSQL architectures using Couchbase. So as I describe each particular application, you'll see what I mean in terms of how innovative these particular applications and award winners happen to be. For our Community Architectures and Innovation Award, we're really excited to announce that the winner is Northwestern University and their Feinberg School of Medicine. And what they've been doing within their Department of Preventive Medicine is building merging a wearable device and applications to help tell you and remind you about your blood sugar levels, about different variables about your diet, the different variables in your monitoring of your health. And what they're starting to see is that they're able to influence their patients and participants in real time to steer better behavior. So for that, we're really excited to announce and give the award to Angela Famatter she's an assistant professor within the Department of Preventive Medicine.
Thank you so much. The Catalyst Lab is really appreciative of this recognition.
Our North American Advanced NoSQL Architectures Award goes to CVent. And Brent Ryan, the VP of Engineering, is here to accept that in a moment. But what's really interesting about CVent is within the last 18 months, they've had to pivot their entire business from being a on-site event management company where they would handle event registrations. They handle your trade shows, event registrations, or lead capture devices, things like that. So they had a foundation of IT technologies that they'd already deployed. But of course, with the pandemic, they had to pivot their entire business to online and become essentially a broadcast network or a media streaming company all at the same time. So this Advanced NoSQL Architectures Award is really to recognize their microservices-based data platform that's feeding a lot of these services that still provide support for registration and content delivery, et cetera, but now in a brand new different medium. And they've experienced the need for requirements like high performance, a high degree of flexibility, and mobility all at the same time. So congratulations, Brent. We're very excited to give you this particular award.
Oh, thank you very much. That's awesome. It's been a great partnership over the years, and looking forward to continuing our success using Couchbase.
Our North American Cloud Computing Award goes to BroadJump. And BroadJump, again, another operator in the healthcare industry, has been building a dynamic spend intelligence system for hospitals and the entire healthcare supply chain. And what they're doing is informing the health providers about their expense management and helping them find ways to drive down medical delivery costs. So for that, Phil Lapercio, our VP of Technology, congratulations on this Cloud Computing Award.
Excellent. Well, I'm extremely gratified for that. Thanks, y'all. I don't know what to say other than thank you. we're going to keep doing what we do, and we look forward to you guys doing the exact same and making cool stuff for us to use out here.
Our European Advanced NoSQL Architecture Award goes to Citibank. And what they've built is a high-capacity data platform that, delivers about 200 microservices that is feeding hundreds of applications within Citibank worldwide. Now, this data is going to traders, it's going to bank employees, and it's going to clientele. And what's so interesting about what Corey Pros told us about their application was that the data, they're able to develop and deploy almost on a daily basis to these microservices new capabilities every single day. And what impressed us about that was Corey's recognition that he doesn't know what he's going to build today oftentimes, but he knows that he loves the challenge of delivering something so rapidly into market. So congratulations, Citibank, for the Advanced NoSQL Architecture Award.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sure that the team will really love hearing that. They put in a lot of effort, so hearing stuff like this is really good. Thank you very much.
Our International Cloud Computing Award goes to Amadeus. Now, Amadeus has been a longstanding Couchbase customer, and we know that they've been delivering and personalizing your reservation activity across the globe, whether it's booking flights, booking hotels and cars and cruises, et cetera. And what they have been steering towards constantly is a high degree of personalization and high responsiveness to that reservation booking activity. So for our Cloud Computing Award, Laurent Dole, congratulations to Amadeus for, again, our International Cloud Computing Award.
It means a lot, first of all, to be rewarded by such a valuable company as yours, Couchbase. So thank you for that. What I want to say and highlight is that I'm receiving this award virtually today, but there are a lot of people working with me, with us at Amadeus Loyalty and at Amadeus as a whole. We have middleware teams working with us, helping this project. And as I like to say, is about business, helping the business. So we have our business partners, and it's that whole team that I want to thank as well.
Our Community Architectures and Innovation Award for International goes to Molo17 for their GlueSync application. Now, GlueSync is an application that maps relational database technologies into Couchbase. So they're helping organizations modernize their older systems and synchronize that data into modern Couchbase-based applications. And accepting this award is Daniele Angeli, the CEO of Molo17. Daniele, congratulations. Again, the Community Architectures and Innovation Award for International.
I much appreciate. Thank you. Thank you so much. That wouldn't be possible without our team and also without the support of our customers. But also your guys, your colleagues help us achieve that goal that is amazing for us. Thank you so much.
And our International Innovating at the Edge Award goes to Emirates Airlines and for their eTech logbook application. And this is another example of one of these highly compelling, mobilized, digitized applications where they took a paper-based process, the process of preparing an airplane for such that it's ready for takeoff, and going through the checklist that is oftentimes run by the pilots as well as the crew. It incorporates the baggage control system, the food service systems, and the boarding systems all at the same time. Now, eTech Logbook is a first in its industry kind of application, and they're anticipating that this not only makes them more efficient, but it allows the entire supply chain of this, getting a flight off the ground kind of process to really trust in these new capabilities and expedite getting their passengers to whatever destination they need to go to. So Alex Alexander, congratulations. He's the CIO of Emirates Airlines. Congratulations to you and your team for this Innovating at the Edge award. And really recommend that everybody see the eTech Logbook session here at Connect.
It's an honor and privilege to accept the award on behalf of Emirates, but I have to recognize an amazing partnership, an amazing innovative technology that brought success for this project, a world first in the airline industry. None of this success would have been possible without the great effort that our respective teams made over quite an intense period, but makes it even more satisfying to know that such a collaborative effort was done, and we met through all of the trials successfully. And I'm really thankful to Emirates team and Couchbase team to make this happen together with other partners. So with that, I really thank you, and it's a pleasure to accept this award on behalf of the Emirates Group.
Okay, we're back live. I want to say congratulations to our partner award winners and, of course, to all of our customer award winners. Congratulations. This concludes our morning keynotes for today. I want to say that you've got a tremendous amount of additional sessions to go to this afternoon and then through the rest of the day. So please go and attend the sessions that look best to you. Be sure to attend the live demo session that we're having starting just at the bottom of the hour, where you will actually get a chance to participate in the live demo. It's an exciting thing for everybody to attend. Thank you again for joining us. We do apologize for the technical difficulties we had earlier in the day. We appreciate you staying with us, and we appreciate you attending the conference. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.